Hey guys, gonna do something a little different today from what I usually do. This isn't a demolition derby video today. I'm gonna be putting some rear brakes on our 2014 Ford Fusion. So we bought this car brand new, and the only complaints we ever had about it was the gas mileage. According to the window sticker, which I keep all this crap, it's supposed to get 8.8 liters per 100 in town, 5.5 on the highway. There's no way you're going to get 5.5 out of this car. It usually pretty much stays around 7 to 7.5 liters per 100, pretty much no matter how you drive it. Anyway, other than that, it's a really nice car. You know, it's got the leather and backup camera and nav and all that stuff. But the problem I have is the rear brakes. The car's only got 50,000 kilometers, 30,000 miles. It's not even 3 years old yet. And the rear brakes are toast. I've already done one side. Here is the pads. Here's what's left. She's almost all the way down to nothing. That one's not quite as bad. And this is the rotor. It's all grooved to pieces. Chunks out of it. Not good. And here's what I'm going to be putting on. I got these power stop brakes. Figured I may as well spend the money on these rather than give them a try instead of getting the ones from Ford that I know are no good. These are probably a lot cheaper than the ones from Ford. And they're better than, you know, just your regular aftermarket jobs. Anyway, so I'm going to put those on. I've already done one side. Here's what she looks like when she's done. Hopefully it works good. So yeah, so we'll get to putting them on. Okay, so the first thing you want to do if you're working on your brakes, these Fusions have electric parking brake. So first thing you have to do is disable the brake. So what you're going to do, this is going to be a little hard to do with the camera, but you're going to turn your key to on, engine off, press down the gas pedal, push down on the parking brake, and turn the key off and then turn it back on. And then once you do that, come up in the dash. It's in maintenance mode. Now, when you're done working on your brakes, I may as well show you this right now. The procedure is just actually to turn them back on. Key on, brake pedal down, or gas pedal down. Pull up on your parking brake switch. Turn the car off and back on.
Please say a command. Try saying a device name like phone or USB. You can also say navigation or...
Oops. And once you do that, Jesus, the light will go off and you're good to go. Alright, so now we're ready to start taking this thing apart, I think. So I got my tools all lined up here. Don't need very many tools. We have an Allen wrench here. This is a 7mm. That's to take the caliper bolts out. We have a 15mm wrench or socket, whichever. And that's to take the caliper mounting bracket off. A couple screwdrivers just for prying things. And a hammer. So first thing we're going to do, if you look And here in the back, the caliper mounting bracket here. There's a couple little dust caps. And these little rubbers. Pop those suckers out. One there, one down here in the bottom. And then we'll take our... Actually, before I do that, what I'm going to do, I'm going to just pry this caliper out, make sure that it's not seized or anything. I just put a screwdriver in there, give it a little pry. Oop. The caliper's good, that pried out no problem at all. Alright, now we'll take our Allen wrench and take off the mounting bolts for the caliper. Loosen that one up. Loosen that one up. I only have one 7mm Allen wrench. All my other Allen wrenches are standard, so I got one here that's not quite the right size, but it'll work easier than having to use that other thing to take these out. And I'll pull our sliders right out of these when they're done. You can see there's a little bit of gunk on the end of that. We'll clean that up before we put it back in. Get this bottom one out. Same thing, that one's got a little bit of rust on her, so we'll clean that all up before we put her back in. We have this little spring. I'm just going to pop that out. Not sure how you're supposed to do it, but I'm just going to pop it out here. And our caliper should come right off now that we have it loosened up. I'm just going to grab a piece of wire in a sec. Wire that up there so it doesn't fall off. So yeah, so I think this is probably where most of our problem is. If you look here where the brake pads mount on these little areas here, see all that rust? Well, that's going to keep your pads from sliding. And if I try to slide this one, it's in there really tight. So that shouldn't be. They should just slide back and forth nice and easily. It'll come out, but it's really tight. Yeah, so there you go. This side I don't think is quite as bad as the other side was. Still some pad left on there. Alright, so next, actually I think before I go any further, these little rubber boots on the caliper, get it back in place here. My Power Stop kit came with new boots, so I'm going to go ahead and I can pop those out right now. Replace those before I go any further. Now on the other side they were really hard to get out, so I don't know how hard this is going to be. When you do these, the top boot, I'll show you here in the new ones. The top boot will be squishy. See that? The bottom boot actually has a little sleeve in it, so that one you can't squeeze. So there's two different ones. Alright, let's see if I can pop those out. The top one I think will come out fairly easily. Just going to take a screwdriver and just push it right back through. Maybe. Oh, this one's going to fight me a bit. There she goes. If there's any rust or anything in there, you should probably clean that out a bit. This one actually looks pretty good. Now the bottom one gave me a bit more of a problem than the other side. I have to tap him up with the hammer. These things are trying my patience. There. So that's the forward one. Kind of did a number on getting it out, but see it's kind of rusty there, so that's why I went ahead and replaced them. Alright, I'll grab a... set this caliper out of the way. Actually, it kind of sits right there on that sway bar pretty good. So I'll leave her there. And that pad, actually that side's not bad. See, it actually will slide back and forth to the other side. It's not bad. Next, we'll take the caliper mounting bracket off. There's just a couple bolts right in behind here. One down here, one up here. Pop that off, and then we can take the rotor off. These can be kind of tight. My ratchet will be a little quicker. There's our caliper mounting bracket. So in a sec, I'm just going to take this over to the bench. I'm going to take a hammer, a cold chisel, and just any scaly rust that's on there, I'm going to tap it off, and then I'll take a wire brush, clean it up all nice and shiny, so that put some oil on it, so everything's going to slide on there good, and I'm not going to have a problem with them sticking anymore. That's that. Sometimes you might have to take a hammer, give this a little tap to get the rotor off, but this one's already fallen off, so slide it right off. And that is it for disassembly. Look at that rotor. Look at the grooves in that sucker. Crazy. That's that. We'll stick the new one on while we're right here. I was taking, put a little bit of anti-seize on here. She's getting a little rusty. We don't have to worry about it sticking. A little around there, a little around the hub. There we go. Alright, now we'll set our rotor on. Look at that thing. Now these particular rotors have a coating on them, so you don't have to clean, there's no oil on them, so you don't have to clean them off. Just stick a nut on there to hold her on, because that's what they do on TV. There we go. Alright, we'll take our caliper bracket over to the workbench and get her cleaned up. Okay, so we got our caliper mounting bracket all cleaned up. Look at that, all nice and shiny. So I'm going to take and put power stop dids in some lube here, but I pretty much use it all on the other side, so just going to use a little bit of our anti-seize here. Just put in there to keep that from rusting up again, hopefully. There, get a good coating on her. Might not be what's recommended, but better than nothing, that's for sure. There, so all of our surfaces are cleaned up. Get some lube on them. I'm just going to show you how easy the pads slide in this now. Just a second. So here's our new pads. Look at this. Just the way it should be. Alright, so we're going to mount the caliper mounting bracket back on. Again, I'm going to take, I like to put a little bit of anti-seize on everything pretty much. I'll put a little bit on these. Keep them from seizing up on me. There we go. That's a long one. There we go. Alright, now, I guess we can probably set our, we'll wait and do that in a second. Okay, remember when we took these little jobbies out of the There's the caliper mounting bracket here, so what I'm going to do, this is the squishy one. A little bit of grease here. A little grease in this hole to make her slide in a little easier. These can be a little tough to get in. That. Just kind of fold it on the end so it pushes in. Squish her together a little bit, should slide right in here. Just like that. Yeah, same thing for the bottom one. Grease her up good. This one is a little rusty. The bottom one. I had a bit of a hard time getting her in the other side, so lots of grease on her. Hopefully she slides in easy. There we go. A little extra grease never hurt. Again, same thing. I don't know if you guys can see that very good. There. Just gonna fold over the end of that and slide her in. This one's a little tougher because of that sleeve in it. It doesn't fold in like the other side. Just kind of try to get one side started and then work it around. Try this side first. Pressure on it, it will go. I'm not pushing off the screwdriver, just getting it into the hole. There she goes. This one has a little more of a ridge on it, so give her a little tap with the hammer to get her in that last little bit of the way. There she goes. Wipe some of the grease off of it. Make sure she's in all the way. Okay, now we'll set the caliper back there for a second. Put our pads in. The outside pad. Oh, I'm going to use some of this lube on the back of this. Just keep making noises. Just put a little bit on each side where it contacts. And then she just slides in. That. The pad in the back is the one that has this little spring on it. A little dab of that where the caliper goes on, the piston goes on. Slide that one in. We'll put a little bit of this on there just to keep that from rusting too. Pop her in. Now, there's one thing I neglected to do. Still gotta clean that gunk off my pins, then I'll lubricate them and put them back in. Okay, so I got my guide pins all cleaned up. Once again, I'm going to use a little bit of grease on these because I kind of already used all the lube that came with the brakes kit. Lots on there, so I don't want that. I want that to slide easily. Get some of the excess off here. There we go. So that just slides into our new boot that we put in here. I'm gonna get them both ready here. Grease that sucker up good. Now you're going to have to push it in just a bit to get it to line up. I like to start the bottom one before we tighten that one up all the way. Again, just give her a little push in. Correct size Allen wrench to tighten them up all the way. These don't have to be super tight. We have our little spring. Just kind of goes in. I found it's easiest to slide it in that way. Start in the hole. Take a screwdriver. Oops. Slide it over. And that is it. Put the wheels back on her. Don't forget to reset your electric park and brake like I showed you earlier. And always give your brakes a few pumps just to get the pads back against the rotors before you start driving. Give your brake fluid a check, but it should be okay. Oh, these two little dust caps. Go over these suckers. And that's that. She's done. So hopefully these brakes last a little longer than the originals. But we will see. Thanks a lot. Talk to you later. I almost forgot. These, depending on your brakes that you buy, they may have a break-in procedure, such as what these power stop brakes have. So the instructions are on the box. It's just 5 aggressive stops from 40 to 10, 5 moderates from 35 to 5. Then I actually didn't read these instructions before. After that, just drive around slowly for as long as possible without excessively using the brakes and without coming to a complete stop for about 5 minutes. And that will let them cool off and they should be ready to go. So yeah, so good luck. If you want to try this job yourself, it's really not that hard. Save yourself some money instead of taking it to the dealer. Have a good day.